back, friends. Yes, we're about to talk about Father Corbone. He gives a concise and beautiful explanation of the Holy Trinity. And if we should happen to have a priest or cleric, a deacon who's watching this, and they draw the short straw on preaching on the Feast of Holy Trinity, avail yourselves of those. I know it's a hard concept. Avail yourselves of those who can explain it beautifully, Augustine, whatever, and just lean on them. Father Corbone, he's one such one, and I offer this as a consideration. So, to the Trinity. Yes, the mysterious river of divine communion is an outpouring of love among the three, and in it, eternal life consists. Each person is a gift and acceptance of gift, never varying yet not motionless. Each is an elan, and the definition is an energy, style, or enthusiasm that is enamored of the other, capital O, but in pure transparency. Each is a joy given gratuitously and accepted freely. To this communion, this ebb and flow, to this rhythm of love from which love overflows, no living, and here we're going to come into a little bit of the assumption, no living being can draw near unless the veil of mortality is rent asunder. The human heart cannot contain this inexpressible joy as long as the last attachment to self has not been severed. In Mary's Dormition, it was our assertion when we considered that, is that she died of love. When her soul was finally detached from her body, and so that's what we define as death. At that moment, she was able to enter into this inexpressible joy of the Holy Trinity. This river is love, but it does not, and here it is, it does not arise out of the human heart, the river of life, but a life that does not flow from the human heart. That is because this river, this energy, is wholly other. It is the self-opening of our thrice holy God. Our God is holy because he is wholly other. The communion within the Trinity is a river of life that is of love because it is holy. When Jesus reveals to us the truth that anyone who wants to save his life will lose it, but anyone who loses his life for my sake will save it. That was Luke 9:24. The words of the word are infinitely more than a prudential maxim. They plunge us into the very wellspring of the river of life, love, and holiness. And when this river of love overflows, the manifestation of the hidden holiness will be called its glory. And this is that starting point. So we're talking about mystagogy and the newly initiated, and frankly, that's where we all can be at this point. This is our starting point for the economy of salvation and for our Eucharistic anaphors. So you see, he's talking about the plan, and he's talking about Eucharistic anaphors. He's going to the liturgy. We know the theology from the plan of the Father worked out in history, salvation history. The Trinity is an outpouring, is glory and the start of the economy of salvation, the plan, the how. And note the connection to the praises, that's what they call anaphors in the East, in the Eucharist or liturgy. And we're going to see that. I'm going to read some revelations of Catalina. They're approved by her bishop. But we're going to see this. She experiences this with Our Lady instructing her, this very concept that Father Corbone gives to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it's very interesting. Like in regards to the liturgy being, being a work, this work that is given to us to secure this grace, right? That the grace begins. It's not initiated in us. And I think that that's one of the primary problems with within the Protestant Reformation is the belief that or the lack of comprehension that any good work that is initiated in us, right, or that flows through us is not initiated in us. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That if you do a good work, that is only through the inspiration of the Trinity, because all good works initiate there. So it's an engagement already with another person who is motivating you to an action that is going to be to your benefit and to his glory. And I think that that's kind of sad, because, you know, to think that these works are empty of value would be so detrimental to the intellect and the psychology of the human person. To think that what you do is of no matter. And I think that we're stuck with that right now, that people are just doing whatever they feel like because they think in the end they have become somewhat nihilistic and they don't think that it matters.
That's true. That's true. They don't. It's chaos, you know, they're lost. That was that opening statement I have. When you don't have God, it's a deep dark, it's deep in the dark. Yes. Father Corbone draws us with some of these reflections into the hidden mysteries. And when I reflect on these hidden mysteries, right, I feel like a catechumen, or an unfinished Christian, that Aquinas, I mean, not Aquinas, Han and Aquila,
Aquila?
Aquilina. Yes.
Aquilina, yeah.
Aquilina will point out. They have this nice little, it's pocket size, 5x7, and Living the Mysteries, a guide for the unfinished Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm going to propose both here and in heaven, even when we're before God, we aren't going to be finished, because for the simple fact that we are finite and he is not. So there is always going to be something. There's always going to be something we learn or know or engage with. Never boring.
I mean, it will be that element of unveiling mystery that will keep us enamored.
It will keep us enamored. It'll just be delightful.
Yeah.
So, the technical, like a few episodes ago, I noted the technical definition of mystagogy, and when I got that term, I got it from this one. This is a handy little book.
Yeah. St.
Mary's Press Glossary of Theological Terms by John Ford. That was that. But it's a post-baptismal instruction, and it's usually assumed that this lasts from Easter to Pentecost. But there is no reason why it cannot extend until the end of one's life, certainly on earth. After all, each and every one of those days qualifies as post-baptismal. And that would be a Hanism, and I think that's right. So the book presents ancient teachings. So we're going to go back to the patristic authors, not necessarily prior to Nicaea. And these would have been sermons or homilies that the faithful could have heard from their bishop during the sacred liturgy concerning profound truths of the faith. Then the faithful would meditate on those readings and homily and seek to apply them to their own personal situation. And so let us always remember the great danger these Christians faced.
Yeah. Listening
to these very long, what we martyrs would call very long. Often these homilies or teachings sit around the scriptures. They were always Trinitarian, Christological, and ecclesial. Always. They always had that three elements. And this book is meant to be readily accessible to most sincere Christians. So let's take Gregory of Nyssa. He's mid 300s. They do a delightful, concise. So this book has a beautiful, concise biography of the author of who Gregory of Nyssa, and then they're going to take a homily, passing sinless through the Red Sea. So that is from the greater work of St. Gregory's Life of Moses, which many people consider the masterpiece of his mystical works. And it was written towards the end of his life, and I would agree with that. His theme, so he's going to, Gregory is going to follow St. Paul through the Red Sea as a foreshadowing of the baptism. Remember I said the Red Sea, Exodus, that is the paradigm. It is the paradigm, it's the paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First, so he passed through the waters as Israelites passed through the Red Sea, and they left behind slavery in Egypt, so we leave behind slavery to sin. Now, here we are again. Can we pick this up in the next episode?
I think so.
Okay, we'll continue on with the life, St. Gregory's Life of Moses in the next episode. Till then, my friends, Fide